Close your eyes for a moment and imagine waking up tomorrow to unexpected good news. A door opening where there was only a wall, money arriving from a surprising source, peace replacing anxiety, opportunities chasing you instead of you. Chasing them? What if I told you that miracles are not random? They are invited. They are welcomed. They are magnetized by the words you speak the moment you open your eyes. As taught by Florence Scovel Shinn, your word is your wand. What you declare, you direct. What you affirm, you attract. Most people wake up and immediately affirm, lack, I'm tired. I don't want to get up. Another stressful day. And then they wonder why life keeps giving them more to be tired and stressed about. But the person who understands spiritual law rises differently. They greet the day as a royal guest. They speak to the unseen forces of abundance before the world has a chance to speak fear to them. Before your feet touch the floor, say this within your heart. Divine intelligence goes before me today, making easy, joyful, and prosperous my way. Feel the power of that. You are no longer walking into chaos. You are walking into preparation. Paths are being cleared. People are being arranged. Timing is being orchestrated. What seemed impossible yesterday begins to soften, shift, and open. Then, affirm. I welcome miracles today. I expect blessings today. I receive abundance today. Expectation is a spiritual magnet. Life cannot give you what you do not believe is possible. When you expect struggle, you get struggle. When you expect favor, you begin to notice something extraordinary. Things start working out. Calls come at the right time. Ideas appear effortlessly. Problems resolve in ways you could never have forced. Next, speak prosperity into your day. Infinite. Supply is mine by divine right. Money flows to me freely, joyfully, and continuously. Not with desperation, with calm authority. Abundance is not something you beg for. It is something you align with. The universe responds not to need, but to knowing. When you declare supply as already yours, you step into the consciousness where wealth naturally circulates. If fear tries to whisper, answer it immediately. There is no loss in divine mind, only increase, restoration, and multiplication. Nothing meant for you can be taken. Nothing destined for you can be blocked. Delay is not denial. It is preparation. Affirm also for peace. I am guided, protected, and divinely directed in all that I do. Imagine moving through your day surrounded by invisible favor, conversations flowing smoothly, decisions becoming clear, tension dissolving. Before it reaches you, this is not fantasy, it is alignment. And, most importantly, claim joy. Today is a day of happy surprises. Say it with childlike certainty. The universe delights in surprising those who are open to wonder. Miracles often arrive disguised as coincidences, chance meetings, sudden ideas, or unexpected generosity. Do not rush these words. Feel them, live inside them. Your subconscious mind is fertile soil. Whatever you plant at dawn will grow throughout the day. Plant fear, harvest anxiety. Plant faith, harvest miracles. Stand up and declare aloud if you can. Something wonderful is happening to me right now. Not tomorrow, not someday. Now, this places you in the present moment where all creative power exists. Remember, you are not trying to make something happen. You are allowing what already exists in the invisible to become visible. Abundance is not created, it is revealed. Miracles are not manufactured. They are permitted. So tomorrow morning, do not check your phone first. Do not check your worries first. Check in with your power first. Speak life before life speaks to you. And if you truly desire transformation, make this a daily ritual. Consistency impresses the subconscious. Repetition builds belief. Belief opens the floodgates. If this message resonated with your spirit, take a moment right now to affirm it into action. Say in the comments or out loud, "I welcome miracles and abundance." And share this with someone who needs a new beginning, because the day you start speaking differently is the day life starts answering differently. Miracles are not rare events. They are daily visitors to those who open the door and say, "Come in, I have been expecting you." Asterisk, the very first thoughts you think in the morning are not small, casual things. They are creative commands. In that tender space between sleep and waking, your mind is open, impressionable, and extraordinarily powerful. What you say to yourself in those first moments sets spiritual law into motion for the entire day. Most people wake unconsciously and immediately affirm limitation. "I'm exhausted. I have too much to do. Nothing ever changes." Without realizing it, they have issued instructions to life, and life faithfully obeys. As taught by Florence Scovel Shinn, the subconscious has no sense of humor and no power of selection. It accepts whatever you impress upon it as truth and begins working to make it visible. Imagine two people waking at the same hour, in the same city, under the same sky. One reaches for worry before their eyes are fully open. They replay problems, anticipate conflict, and dread responsibilities. Their body tightens, their breathing shortens, and their energy sinks. By the time they stand up, they are already defeated. The other person wakes and deliberately chooses a different inner conversation. Before checking messages, before remembering yesterday's disappointments, they affirm peace, guidance, and favor. Their body relaxes, their breath deepens, and their posture lifts. Though nothing external has yet changed, everything internal has shifted, and the internal always precedes the external. Your morning words act like a compass. They determine the direction your attention will travel. If you declare that the day will be hard, your mind will search for evidence to confirm that belief. Minor inconveniences will feel enormous. Neutral events will appear negative. Opportunities will go unnoticed because your perception has been tuned to struggle. But if you declare that the day is filled with possibility, your awareness sharpens toward solutions.
Oh.
You notice kindness. You recognize openings. You respond creatively instead of reactively. Life begins to look different not because the world changed, but because your lens did. There is also a physiological dimension to this spiritual principle. The body listens to the mind's language. When you wake with fearful thoughts, stress, hormones flood your system, preparing you for danger that may not even exist. Muscles tense, digestion slows, clarity diminishes. When you wake with calm, confident affirmations, your nervous system stabilizes. You become more resilient, more focused, more capable of making wise decisions. In this way, your words are not merely symbolic. They are biochemical instructions shaping your physical state as well as your circumstances. Many people wait for motivation before speaking positively. But power works in reverse. You speak first, and feeling follows. A person may say, "I don't feel confident, so I can't affirm confidence." Yet the act of affirmation is what generates the feeling. When you declare, "I am calm, capable, and guided," your mind begins searching for ways to embody that statement. Memories of past successes surface. Your posture straightens. Your tone becomes steadier. What began as words becomes experience. Consider how different cultures throughout history have honored the morning as sacred. Dawn represents renewal, a daily resurrection from the unconscious into conscious creation. Night dissolves yesterday's patterns. Morning offers a blank canvas. But a blank canvas will not remain blank. It will be painted by the first colors applied. If you do not choose those colors deliberately, habit will choose them for you. And habit often paints with the dull tones of fear, doubt, and repetition. Your words also influence how others respond to you. Someone who begins the day affirming hostility unknowingly carries that tension into every interaction. Their facial expressions, tone, and body language signal defensiveness, which invites defensiveness in return. Another person who affirms goodwill radiates openness, which invites cooperation. In this way, your private morning dialogue quietly shapes your public reality. It is important to understand that affirmations are not denial of difficulty. They are declarations of authority over difficulty. Saying today is a day of peace does not pretend that challenges do not exist. It establishes the state from which you will meet them. Peaceful people still encounter problems, but they solve them more effectively because they are not overwhelmed. Prosperous thinkers still face obstacles, but they interpret them as temporary rather than catastrophic. There is also the matter of repetition. A single positive statement spoken once with doubt may feel weak, but repeated daily with conviction, it becomes a dominant belief. Just as water shapes stone not by force, but by persistence, you're chosen. Words carve new pathways in your mind. Over time, what once felt unnatural becomes automatic. You no longer struggle to think optimistically. Optimism becomes your baseline. Many people underestimate the cumulative effect of mornings. One negative morning may seem harmless, but hundreds of them create a life pattern. Conversely, hundreds of intentional mornings build momentum toward transformation. Each day becomes a vote for the person you are becoming. You are not changed by one grand decision, as much as by thousands of small declarations made at dawn. Your environment may still contain noise, pressure, and unpredictability, but your inner environment determines how those elements combine. The same rain that ruins one person's plans nourishes another's garden. The same delay that frustrates one person protects another from harm. When you begin the day with empowering words, you position yourself to extract value even from inconvenience. There is also a quiet confidence that emerges when you realize you are not at the mercy of your mood. Mood can follow mastery. You can wake up tired and still speak strength. You can wake up uncertain and still affirm clarity. You can wake up discouraged and still declare renewal. In doing so, you step out of passive existence and into conscious participation with life. Even the simple act of pausing before rising can become transformative. That brief moment of stillness is like standing at the doorway between worlds, the world of dreams behind you, and the world of action ahead. What you carry through that doorway matters. Carry fear, and it colors everything you touch. Carry faith, and it illuminates ordinary moments with possibility. Over time, you may notice that external circumstances begin to mirror your internal consistency. Not because the universe is granting favors arbitrarily, but because you are behaving differently, making clearer choices, noticing opportunities sooner, recovering from setbacks faster, attracting people who resonate with your energy. Day no longer feels like something that happens to you, but something you participate in shaping from its very first breath. And so the morning becomes less about waking up, more about activating, less about reacting to yesterday, and more about authoring today, less about surviving hours, and more about directing energy, attention, an expectation toward outcomes that once seemed distant but now feel quietly inevitable. As you stand at the threshold of a new day with words that do not beg life for mercy, but instruct life with calm. Unwavering authority * expectation is not wishful thinking. It is a powerful inner posture that quietly informs life what you are prepared to receive. Every human being lives inside a field of anticipation, whether they are conscious of it or not. Some wake each day expecting problems, delays, disappointments, and lack. Others rise expecting guidance, opportunities, kindness, and increase. Both groups gather evidence to support their expectations, not because the world is biased, but because perception and behavior organize around what the mind believes is likely. As taught by Florence Scovel Shinn, you do not get what you want. You get what you expect, for expectation is faith in action, a silent command issued to the creative forces of life. When you expect blessings, your nervous system relaxes instead of bracing for impact. This relaxation is not weakness, it is openness. A tense mind scans for threats, while a calm mind notices possibilities. Opportunities often arrive quietly, disguised as ordinary events, a casual conversation, a sudden idea, a small invitation, a change in plans. If you are clenched with anxiety, you may miss them entirely. If you are receptive, you recognize their significance and respond in time to benefit. In this way, expectation of good does not magically drop miracles from the sky, it prepares you to perceive and participate in them. There is also a behavioral component. A person who expects rejection communicates differently than one who expects welcome. Subtle signals, tone of voice, eye contact, posture, pacing, reveal inner belief before a single word is spoken. Others respond accordingly, often without realizing why. Someone who anticipates success speaks with clarity and assurance, making cooperation easier. Someone who anticipates failure hedges, apologizes, or withdraws, unintentionally reinforcing the very outcome they fear. Thus, expectation becomes a self-fulfilling pattern not through mystical coercion, but through consistent microactions aligned with belief. Expectation shapes emotional endurance as well. When you assume that something good is unfolding, even during difficulty, you tolerate uncertainty with greater resilience. A delayed answer feels like preparation rather than abandonment. A closed door feels like redirection rather than punishment. This reframing preserves energy that would otherwise be spent on panic or resentment. Over time, this conserved energy can be redirected toward creative problem-solving, learning, and persistence, all of which increase the probability of favorable outcomes. Many people confuse expectation with entitlement, but they are fundamentally different. Entitlement demands specific results on a specific timetable and reacts with anger when reality diverges. Expectation of blessings is broader and more flexible. It trusts that good will come, though not always in the form originally imagined. This flexibility allows you to recognize value in unexpected places. What appears to be a setback may contain information, connections, or motivation that becomes essential later. By maintaining a posture of trust rather than rigidity, you remain aligned with possibility rather than trapped by disappointment. Your internal dialogue plays a crucial role in maintaining expectation. Thoughts such as, "Nothing ever works out for me," act like filters that discard positive evidence and highlight negative exceptions. Replacing them with statements like, "Things are always working out in ways I may not yet see," gradually shifts attention toward supportive experiences. At first, this may feel artificial, especially if past experiences have been painful. But repetition builds familiarity, and familiarity builds belief. The mind prefers coherence. Once a new narrative takes hold, it begins organizing memories and perceptions to support it. Physiology again mirrors psychology. Optimistic expectation has been associated with lower stress responses, improved immune function, and greater cognitive flexibility. When the body is not flooded with chronic alarm signals, it allocates resources toward maintenance, repair, and exploration. Exploration increases the likelihood of encountering beneficial situations, which in turn reinforces optimism. A virtuous cycle emerges in which expectation of good produces conditions that make good more probable. Social networks also reorganize around expectation. People who anticipate generosity are more likely to express gratitude, which strengthens relationships. Those relationships become channels through which information, assistance, and opportunities flow. Conversely, chronic suspicion can erode trust, reducing collaboration and isolating the individual from potential support. Over time, social reality begins to mirror inner assumptions. Cultural narratives often emphasize struggle as proof of worth, leading some to feel guilty about expecting ease or abundance. Yet, expecting blessings does not negate effort. It enhances it. When you believe your work will bear fruit, you engage more fully and persist longer. Effort infused with hope is sustainable, while effort fueled by dread exhausts quickly. Difference is not in how hard you work, but in the emotional climate surrounding that work. There is also a temporal dimension. Expectation stretches the present toward the future. When you anticipate something meaningful ahead, the present moment gains direction. Small actions feel connected to larger outcomes, making them easier to perform consistently. Without expectation, tasks can feel pointless, leading to procrastination or disengagement. Thus, expectation functions as a bridge between intention and action. Memory itself can be reshaped by expectation. When you adopt the belief that your life contains many instances of help, luck, or grace, your mind retrieves past events that confirm these memories strengthen confidence and counterbalance narratives of victimhood. You begin to see continuity in your experiences, recognizing that periods of difficulty were often followed by resolution or growth. This recognition reduces fear of future challenges because you have evidence of your capacity to navigate them. Expectation also influences creativity. A pessimistic outlook narrows thinking, focusing on what could go wrong. A hopeful outlook broadens thinking, generating alternative strategies and novel ideas. Creativity thrives in psychological safety, and expecting positive outcomes creates that safety internally, even when external conditions are uncertain. Ideas that might have been suppressed by fear are allowed to surface and be explored. Importantly, expectation of blessings does not eliminate negative events from life. Loss, disappointment, and hardship remain part of the human experience. What changes is the interpretation and response. Instead of concluding that adversity proves life is hostile, you may see it as temporary turbulence within a fundamentally supportive journey. This interpretation preserves motivation and prevents despair from becoming a permanent identity. Over time, the cumulative effect of expecting good can be profound. Days colored by quiet confidence accumulate into months of constructive action, supportive relationships, and adaptive resilience. External success may appear sudden to observers, but it often rests on years of internal alignment. What looks like luck may in fact be the visible tip of a long-standing pattern of hopeful anticipation guiding perception, and persistence in ways too subtle to notice, moment by moment, yet powerful enough to shape the trajectory of a life that continues to lean forward. Scanning the horizon, not for signs of impending disaster, but for the first glimmer of something wonderful approaching, ready to be recognized, welcomed, and woven into the unfolding story of abundance and possibility daily. Affirmations are not mere positive phrases repeated to feel better for a moment. They're tools of alignment that tune your inner world to the frequency of supply, protection, and favor. Every human being is constantly broadcasting signals through thoughts, emotions, and expectations. These signals shape perception, behavior, and interaction with the environment. When left unmanaged, they often default to fear, scarcity, and self-doubt because the brain evolved to detect danger more readily than opportunity. Affirmations interrupt this automatic pattern and deliberately install a different set of assumptions that you are supported, that provision exists, that guidance is available, and that life can move in your favor. As taught by Florence Scovel, spoken words impress the subconscious mind, and the subconscious expresses whatever is impressed upon it without argument or hesitation. To affirm supply is to reject the illusion of permanent lack. Scarcity thinking narrows attention to what is missing, amplifying anxiety and reducing creativity. When the mind believes resources are insufficient, it becomes rigid, defensive, and short-sighted. By contrast, affirming abundance widens awareness. You begin to notice alternative paths, overlooked assets, supportive people, and small gains that accumulate into significant progress. The external world may not have changed yet, but your ability to navigate it has expanded. This shift alone can alter outcomes because flexibility and openness allow you to respond intelligently rather than react impulsively. Protection, as affirmed daily, operates both psychologically and behaviorally. Saying, "I am guided and protected," does not imply invulnerability. It cultivates alert calmness. Panic clouds judgment, while steady awareness enhances it. When you believe you are protected, you are less likely to make reckless decisions driven by desperation. Pause, observe, and choose with intention. This increases the likelihood of avoiding preventable harm and recognizing subtle warning signs. Emphasize that perception sharpened by calm expectation often functions as a practical form of protection, enabling timely adjustments before situations escalate. Favor is another dimension of alignment that is frequently misunderstood. Favor does not mean that rules stop applying or that effort becomes unnecessary. It means that conditions seem to cooperate more often than they resist. Conversations flow more easily, misunderstandings resolve quickly, and timing aligns in helpful ways. Psychologically, believing in favor encourages pro-social behavior, kindness, patience, confidence, and gratitude, all of which invite positive responses from others. These responses create feedback loops that reinforce the sense of being supported. Over time, networks of goodwill form around you, becoming channels through which assistance, information, and opportunity circulate. Daily repetition is essential because the subconscious mind learns through consistency. A single affirmation spoken once may produce a brief uplift, but little structural change. Spoken every day, especially at emotionally receptive times such as morning or before sleep, affirmations gradually replace old narratives. Neural pathways associated with fear weaken through disuse, while pathways associated with confidence strengthen through activation. This neuroplastic process is slow but reliable, much like strengthening a muscle through repeated exercise. Transformation may be subtle day to day, yet dramatic when viewed over months or years. Emotion enhances the effectiveness of affirmations. Words spoken mechanically have limited impact because the subconscious responds more strongly to feeling than to language alone. When you affirm supply, protection, and favor, engaging imagination and sensation makes the message vivid. Visualizing a problem resolving, sensing relief in the body, or recalling a past moment of support adds emotional weight that accelerates internalization. This does not require theatrical intensity. Even quiet sincerity can be powerful when sustained consistently. There is also a corrective function. Many people carry internalized messages from childhood or past experiences that portray the world as unsafe or unforgiving. Affirmations provide a means to consciously rewrite these scripts. Instead of unconsciously replaying statements like, "You're on your own," or "nothing works out," you install alternatives such as "help is available," or "solutions appear at the right time." Over time, these new statements become the default background noise of the mind, influencing mood and decision-making without requiring deliberate effort. Behavioral alignment naturally follows cognitive alignment. A person who believes supply exists is more likely to invest in skills, relationships, and opportunities rather than hoard energy out of fear. Someone who believes in protection may venture into new experiences with reasonable caution instead of avoidance. One who expects favor may initiate conversations, propose ideas, or apply for positions they would otherwise consider out of reach. These actions increase exposure to beneficial circumstances, making positive outcomes statistically more likely. What appears as luck often reflects accumulated instances of courageous engagement enabled by supportive beliefs. Affirmations also stabilize identity. Without a clear inner anchor, identity can fluctuate based on external feedback. Praise inflates confidence, criticism deflates it. When you consistently affirm intrinsic worth and guidance, self-concept becomes less dependent on momentary reactions from others. This stability reduces emotional volatility and enhances persistence. You continue working toward goals even when Immediate validation is absent because your sense of direction originates internally. Another important aspect is the reduction of cognitive load. Chronic worry consumes mental resources that could be used for planning, learning, and creativity. By affirming that matters are unfolding in supportive ways, you free attention from repetitive rumination. This does not eliminate responsibility. It prevents unnecessary overthinking that produces no actionable insight. With mental space restored, you can focus on tasks that genuinely influence outcomes. Spiritual traditions often frame affirmations as cooperation with a larger intelligence or order. Psychological frameworks may interpret them as self-regulation strategies. Regardless of interpretation, the functional effect is similar. You orient yourself toward constructive engagement with reality. Whether one attributes guidance to divine influence, subconscious processing, or social dynamics, the practice cultivates receptivity to helpful input from multiple sources. Consistency across contexts strengthens results. Affirming supply while simultaneously speaking scarcity throughout the day creates internal conflict. The subconscious receives mixed messages and may default to the more emotionally charged one, which is often fear. Aligning everyday language with chosen affirmations reduces this interference. Casual complaints, self-deprecating jokes, or catastrophic predictions gradually diminish as awareness increases. Speech becomes more intentional, reinforcing rather than undermining the desired mindset. Over extended periods, daily affirmations can reshape life trajectory not by sudden transformation, but by cumulative micro-adjustments in perception, emotion, and behavior. Small advantages compound, relationships deepen, skills develop, and resilience grows. Challenges still arise. Yet they are approached from a position of resourcefulness rather than helplessness. The individual begins to experience life less as a series of random events and more as a dynamic field in which inner orientation influences outer experience. Moving forward with a steady sense that provision, guidance, and goodwill are not rare exceptions, but recurring features of a reality that responds to the signals you consistently send. Shaping a pattern of living in which supply feels accessible, protection feels present, and favor feels like a natural current carrying you through situations that once seemed daunting, but now appear navigable. Within an ongoing flow of support that continues to reveal itself through circumstances, people, ideas, and timely developments that align with the inner declaration repeated day after day until it becomes indistinguishable from your baseline way of being.